I think one of the biggest challenges that I've faced on my healing journey has been knowing that I need to have a big emotional release, feeling this build up of stagnant energy in my body, emotions that I just want to be free from, but not knowing how to access those emotions, not knowing why I can't seem to cry or feel as deeply as I want to feel so that I can be free from them. I think that this has been one of the most frustrating experiences for me because as soon as I discovered that the root of my suffering was those unprocessed traumas, those unprocessed emotions from my life prior, it made me kind of go on this mission to want to dig those things up so that I can feel them, so that I can be free. And if you're someone who has had an experience like this, or if you're currently feeling this way, like you're emotionally blocked and that you don't really know how to have the release that you want to have, I want to share this breakthrough that I had yesterday with you because I feel like it really put things into perspective for me and helped me to feel like I at least know what to do when I feel that way. And I know how to really soothe myself and presence myself in the ways that I'm actually needing. I think one of the most challenging pieces of my journey has been just this deep longing to feel happy again, to feel alive again. And I realized yesterday that it's because there was a moment in my life when I was really young where I was still tapped into magic, where I was still present, grateful, alive in the moment, and feeling the wonder and awe of this world. And then there was a moment where my heart broke and I experienced devastation and feeling disconnected from that magic. And it was that initial heartbreak that led to, I keep hearing, a series of unfortunate events where it felt like the momentum just kind of tumbled in this direction of darkness, pain, sadness, and despair that really took over so much of my life to the point where I was living in survival mode and didn't even know that I was, and my heart was shut down and I wasn't fully feeling anymore. And all I knew was that one day I was happy and one day I felt horrible. I felt sad. I felt disconnected from everything and everyone, and I didn't know how to get my old self back. And so for the longest time, I tried to just be happy. I tried to figure out what was wrong with my life so that I could fix it. And I think that this is what the ego does to protect us when we experience that deep pain and when we feel like we're drowning in suffering, is we try to figure out what's wrong so that we can fix it. And I think that's a very noble pursuit of the ego, and I lived much of my life in that way. But what I was realizing yesterday was that in this ascension process, which is truly just I feel a return to our true self, the way that we are meant to operate underneath all of that pain, underneath all of that suffering. And I've had these momentary experiences of that reconnection to myself again that has almost made going back to survival mode, going back to that feeling of being half here, half not, being a little bit dissociated, even more challenging, because when you know what that true connection, what that true presence, what that true joy feels like, we all know it at some level, even if you haven't experienced it in a long time. When we know what that feels like, it's like every day, at least for me, there's a part of me that's grieving the loss of that and trying to get it back. And so I think that's what led me to really want to have these emotional breakthroughs so that I can free myself from all of that pain and finally process it. Because it's like once you understand what you need to do to get back to yourself, sometimes even the ego will take over and try to make that happen. But what I've realized is that the chase and the pursuit of that happiness and needing to be in a higher vibration, feeling like if I surrender to what's showing up in this moment, that I'm going to drown in it again, that it's going to take over the rest of my life, is actually illusion. And if you're watching this video, it's likely that, if you've made it this far, you resonate with my story in some way, and that you are someone who is also on a path of thawing out right now, on a path of healing. And so these feelings of being frozen or numb or shut down in some way, not really being able to access those deeper emotions, are being asked for our presence right now, not for us to try to dig through them and feel what's underneath, because the truth is that those things are there for a reason. Those defense mechanisms are there for a reason, and we built them ourselves. And so there is a part of us who feels like we need to have that protection because of all the pain that's underneath of that. And so essentially the breakthrough that I had yesterday was that sometimes I don't even realize when I'm shut down. I just know that I feel off. And when I'm in that state, because I don't necessarily realize that I'm shut down emotionally, I start to try to pinpoint things that might be wrong in my life that I can fix, like I learned to do when I was a kid. And so I'll pinpoint things about my relationships with other people. Oh, that's what triggered me. That's the problem. Or, oh, I need to be meditating more. I need to be exercising more. I need to be eating better. It's like all of these things on a very physical level that I will kind of pinpoint as the problem. And so it gives almost like my mind, my ego, something to fixate on, where it's like, oh, if I just solve this problem, or if I just point to this thing outside of me, then I can resolve that and I will feel relief. And so often we might find ourselves blaming our outer circumstances, blaming others for our suffering. And it's not that those things aren't true. Those are just a mirror of the deeper internal suffering that we're feeling. And so as long as we try to fix what's on the outside, there's a feeling of maybe momentary relief, but deeper dissatisfaction, because we just keep creating the same thing when we don't access truly what's going on at that deeper level, right? So for me, fixating on all of these things on the outside, it was actually a protective mechanism to keep me focused on things that I can, tangibly take action on, and not focused on the actual pain that I've been feeling. So, what I realized is the way to work with this energy in a way that is actually healing, that is actually loving, and that is actually effective, is to understand that even if the mind is trying to create stories about why you feel the way that you feel, it's likely that those stories are just a distraction. And that need to feel better is coming from a place of no longer wanting to feel disconnected from magic, disconnected from joy, disconnected from happiness. And we are so valid in feeling that way. It's like there's this part of me that feels like I've been in this agonizing pain of feeling disconnected from my true self for so long that it's like I can't bear another minute of it in a way. And so I understand the part of me that is just trying to figure out what's wrong so I can fix it, right? But actually, that agenda is preventing me and is preventing us, if you're watching, from actually being present with what is. And to be present with feelings of being shut down and frozen, it can feel like you're not really doing much because you're not having the emotional release. You're just feeling like you're kind of in limbo, maybe sitting with yourself, but wondering like, okay, I don't really feel connected to the deeper part of me. I don't feel connected to my higher self, to source within me. I'm not really feeling a lot of emotions. I just feel like there's this wall. And what I realized yesterday was that this wall is a sensation. This feeling of shut down is almost like my body's version of an antidepressant, right? You know how sometimes when you take an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication, you just kind of feel numb to everything, and it doesn't necessarily resolve the root cause of what you're feeling, but it helps to make it manageable. And so this wall that I have up within me, this feeling of being frozen, is this layer of protection that my body created. And so what I have found is that if we can really honor that this boundary, this protective mechanism, this, I actually see it as like this full body suit that I like learned to zip up so I don't have to feel everything so deeply. For those of us who are highly empathetic, psychic, sensitive souls, we needed this for a while. And so what if we just spent some time honoring that and reminding that part of us, because it is a part of us that we built, and if we honor it, if we understand it, it actually helps the part of us who built it to feel like they can trust us again. They can let us in, that we are a safe space. If we're coming in there with like a sledgehammer trying to take it down, it's like that part of us will start to panic and try to build the wall even stronger. And the truth is, we've had many years where this wall has been built, so it is quite strong. And the defense mechanism is really, it's there. And so what I've found is that this deep presencing of even that feeling of being frozen is a breakthrough in a sense. It might not be this big emotional release that actually does come through this, but it's like this honoring of what we built to survive, and this maybe even not needing to feel all the pain underneath that in order to honor and presence the pain that is underneath that. It's like through the honoring of this defense mechanism, through the honoring of this survival coping skill, we are actually able to honor what we've been through without needing it to go anywhere, without needing it to be any different. And it's ironic, but a lot of the biggest emotional breakthroughs I have had have been through me deeply presencing what is there, even if it's not the way that I think an emotional breakthrough should look, me deeply presencing what is there, the frozen feeling, and knowing that I built that because of all of the pain that I've been through, and honoring that pain. Honoring how painful it is to move through this world feeling half alive, feeling half there, feeling like you're not really in your body anymore. And I know we want to be in our bodies again. I know we want to be present and feel alive again, and we're getting there. But if you have phases where you feel more shut down than you do alive, I invite you to, instead of letting your wounded inner child tell you you're going to be here forever, to presence it as the loving adult that you are in this moment, and hold your inner child. And instead of identifying with the frozen feeling or with the wounds underneath of it, holding that loving higher perspective as you presence those parts of you, and understanding that this is temporary. And it's ironic because the moment you stop needing yourself to feel any different than you do, the moment that you realize what this wall is, what it's here for, and you honor it and you love yourself right there, is the moment that you will start to have little bubbles of emotions start to come up to the surface, little openings in the wall. And it's almost like your inner child peeking through and realizing, oh, she loves me, he loves me. I might be safe to share some of this, to share some of this pain. I didn't feel safe before because it felt like you, this version of you, the present version of you, was just trying to get rid of me, was just trying to get rid of my pain. And when our inner selves, our inner children feel that rejection, feel that, oh, I just need to get rid of these feelings, it's like they feel dismissed. They don't feel loved in the way that they need to come forward. And, you know, at least for me, when I tap into this, I feel like what I am in the middle of clearing through this, what I'm in the middle of processing, is my original heartbreak. And that is a deep wound, because my original heartbreak felt like an attack on my light. When I tune into it, I feel this dark energy of wanting to almost take me down in a way, because my light was so bright as a child. And the pain of just wanting to love, just wanting to connect, just wanting to connect with other humans, and feeling like their own pain made them see me as an enemy, and then being attacked because of that, being targeted because of that. That pain is so deep, and it's not even just that initial heartbreak, but it's what I internalized from that. In that moment, I believed I was doing something wrong, and that I had to change, that I had to become somebody else. And like I said, with that momentum of pain building inside of me, with that self-rejection that I created at that time, if you look at me a couple of years after that initial heartbreak, you see that the light was completely drained from my eyes. I became a different person. I looked like a different person several years later, and life just took a turn for the worse. It was trauma after trauma, heartbreak after heartbreak, rejection, abandonment, feeling unsafe, feeling dysregulated constantly, letting go of everything that I loved, and feeling completely alone, and just trying to be the person I thought I was supposed to be. My whole life revolved around being palatable, being likable by other people, and trying to look the right way and do the right thing and say the right thing, to the point where I completely lost myself. I lost my magic. I lost my light for a while. And that pain is so deep. And so I want to give my little girl all the time that she needs to share with me about that experience, and to open up. And what we truly need to really feel that original heartbreak is so much love and so much safety. As long as we are trying to just get rid of it, just move past it, we are not creating the presence and the safety needed for those wounds to come up. And so I truly believe it is essential right now for us on a daily basis, if we wake up feeling frozen, if we wake up feeling numb, if there's just moments throughout our day where we just aren't feeling alive, where we're feeling dissatisfied, to slow down and honor that. To slow down and be with that without needing a thing to change. And through that moment of complete surrender to what is, it is not that we are choosing that for ourselves. It's not that we are choosing to go down another spiral to let that control the rest of our lives. It's actually quite the opposite. We're making the choice to be with those emotions without needing them to go anywhere. And yes, feeling frozen is an emotional state. It is a state of shutdown. It doesn't look the way we think an emotional breakthrough should look, but that doesn't mean that nothing is happening. With that warmth, I'm seeing like our hand on our heart creating this warmth. And as we send love, as we send deep acceptance to ourselves, and you say, you're safe to be right here. I'm right here with you. You have all the time you need. I see you. I know why we have this defense mechanism up, and thank you for your protection. Thank you for saving my life. Without this protection, it would have been too much. What I experienced in my life would have been too much. And so I thank you, and I'm right here. I almost see it as like this warmth thawing out the ice so that we can get to the wound that is in our heart, that is within our bodies. But in order for that experience, that emotional experience, to be corrective and to be healing, there needs to be love and safety and presence. and an understanding that it takes as long as it takes, but with complete love, surrender, and acceptance, it actually does move faster. And that's not the point here, right? Because our inner child, this part of us, it can feel our intentions. And so I think the other piece of this that I'm even just realizing now as I'm talking is that there is a gift in feeling this pain that may not be evident to us at this time. To our human selves, we feel like avoiding pain is what we want, right? Avoiding that suffering is what we want. And of course, we don't want to be in prolonged states of pain and suffering. But because this is pain and suffering that has already happened, it is essential for us to honor that at a soul level, we chose this to learn compassion, to learn our strength, to learn more about ourselves. And it might not feel like something you would choose at a human level, but at a soul level, we did choose this. And so even just knowing that it is all here for our higher learning, that it is all here for our soul's growth, can help us to honor the experience more deeply and not need to rush through it. There's also this other thing that I was noticing where is like, as soon as I allow myself to feel what I'm feeling, there is a part of me that is always well, that is always unmoving, that is always anchored in love. And yes, I have my inner child part, my protective part, my inner teenager, these parts of me that are angry and upset and feeling dissatisfied. But there is also a part of me that remains unmoving and anchored in love. And I often refer to that part of me as my source self or my higher self, my 5D self, whatever it is that you want to call it. As you connect to that part of yourself, as you connect to your source self, you truly aren't alone anymore. And you have the ability to hold loving, honoring space for the part of you that is shut down. And this will allow the pain of the initial heartbreak to be felt, to be loved, and for that heartbreak to be mended, so that you can walk through the world seeing magic again, feeling alive. Often in my journey, I felt bad because I wanted to feel grateful and I wanted to feel present, and it was like no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't feel those things in a really deep, authentic way. And I'm very much a person who cannot force emotions. They have to be authentic. I have tried to force those things. When I was super into manifestation, I was like doing the affirmations, just trying to like listen to subliminals, hypnotherapy, just to feel good, and not realizing that this completion of these emotional cycles was a huge part of my soul journey, and that I needed to honor it. And the truth is that as we honor it, as we thaw out, that feeling of being present, that feeling of being grateful, that ability to see magic in everything, to laugh, to just feel so deeply, live with an open heart, that is your natural state of being. And when there is no longer that force field of protection trying to prevent you from feeling that pain again, you actually are cracked open to life again in the most beautiful way. But this time, you are protected because you will not be taking on other people's projections as your own. That's what happened to me at 5 years old. The projection that I was receiving from the adults around me, from my teachers, from people who were wounded, the projection that I was receiving at that time was not mine to hold. But as a child, I didn't know that. And I thought, well, maybe if I can just twist and contort myself and become more palatable and become what they want me to be, I will be loved, I will be liked. And that was when I absorbed that energy, that pain as my own. And so now as we clear through this pain in our own way, letting it take as long as it needs to, we will be able to move through the world with our energy free again, not needing to shut down in order to feel safe. Our safety will come in our wisdom that we've gained through this experience. So now at a soul level and at a human level, we understand when someone else's energy is not ours to take on. And we also understand that if we do, for some reason, take on someone else's energy, that it's actually showing us a space within us that needs our presence, needs our love, needs our healing. But we now know, and this is what we're learning right now, how to presence ourselves, how to love ourselves. And I really do feel like the first step is being fully accepting, honoring, and present with what is, not needing things to be any different. And letting that take as long as it takes. If you have an emotion that comes up through that presence, great. If not, know that you're still making progress. It doesn't have to be this huge emotional breakthrough for progress to be made. Emotional breakthroughs can happen in subtle ways. They can also come up as big, snotty cries and releases, but honor the way that yours shows up. And I find that this process of being completely surrendered to what is showing up is a lot easier when I feel connected to source. And if I am having a hard time feeling connected to source because I'm feeling shut down, then going out in nature and letting the earth hold me has been the most tangible way to feel held and connected to pure unconditional love. So sometimes we need that presence from another person or from a pet or from a being on the other side beyond the veil. But if we don't have that, most of us have connection to Mother Earth, to Mother Nature physically. If you don't have it physically, you can even imagine yourself being held by the earth. Sometimes I see the earth growing vines of flowers around my body and connecting me to her, feeling her love flowing through these vines into my body. And it's like a really beautiful visual that I have sometimes when I go into meditation. And so I truly hope that you know that nothing is wrong with you. If you feel completely shut down, if you feel completely frozen, if you feel like you can't have the emotional breakthrough you want to have, there is a lot going on under the surface for you. And sometimes we need to honor what is showing up, that feeling of being frozen, before we have the true safety and the space to be able to handle the emotions that want to come up in a way that is healing rather than re-traumatizing. So I hope that this video, I hope that my sharing will support you in honoring your process in your own unique way. We're all different and we all feel things differently. I think my mechanism is really one that you would relate to if you kind of went through life learning to put on a happy face and feeling like, you have to be happy, you have to feel good, you have to, be strong. And often like this particular defense mechanism of feeling shut down is something that those of us who felt like we really had to force that happy smile, that happy face encounter on a healing journey. So if you feel that way, I know how painful it is. And I know that feeling half alive may have been fine for a while in your life, and now your soul is ready for something more. And the way through that is not through pushing, not through forcing yourself to feel good, but being so honoring and present with what is. And I am literally right here with you. I feel like I've kind of gotten this message before, but yesterday it just came through so much clearer, and I felt really excited to share it with you guys because I think a lot of us are working with that original heartbreak wound because we are about to be totally cracked open to feeling again, totally alive and present and in that energy that we may have had a glimpse of in our childhood that felt like it was long lost. I feel that rekindling in a way that is empowered and strong and unbreakable. And I'm so excited for that. And at the same time, I am asking to be shown the beauty of what is here right now. So I hope that you guys found this sharing helpful. Something I am working on doing on my channel is just more so sharing these like personal stories and personal breakthroughs. I have, through this pain that I experienced, really actually struggled with perfectionism and feeling like I need to be in the perfect energy every time I show up on YouTube and be so clear and so concise, to the point where sometimes I can hold myself back from really being open. And I'm really working on being able to share more, because it's something that I actually really want to do. And I've realized it was a very unconscious process where I would like hold myself back from sharing, because I've just had a lot of experiences of not being understood, and therefore I have this like defense mechanism that tries to get me to like explain things really perfectly and to only show up when I'm feeling good. And I am feeling like YouTube is a really great place for me to work on showing up however I am. So if you see some videos of me like within the next few weeks where it's different from what I typically post, know that that's because I'm doing it for myself first and foremost. But I also know that I'm also learning that it's not necessarily what I say. There is a frequency behind it, and trusting in that. So I'm super curious as to what I'm going to be creating in the future. But I just want to thank you guys who made it to the end so much for being here with me. If you made it to the end, I invite you to drop a sun emoji in the comments. I really do feel like I've been hearing the song, "Here comes the sun, da 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 da. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right." And it actually makes me cry when I listen to that song, because I feel like it's actually here. I feel like it's actually coming, and it's like after so long of tumbling in that darkness, one thing after another, I feel like I know in my heart that the sun is coming out, and that this is all thanks to the loving presence that we have been learning to cultivate within ourselves. It's not about forcing. It's not about needing things to be different. It's about honoring what's here finally, and having the safety to let go of those old stories and those old feelings. And I'm right here with you. I would also absolutely love to know how this resonated with you in the comments. Like if there's anything specific it brought up in you, if you want to share your story or anything that has been supportive to you on your journey with navigating feelings of being frozen or stuck, I would absolutely love to know. I am so appreciative of you guys being here with me on earth at this time, for all of the beautiful healing work that you're doing, because when one of us has a breakthrough, when one of us chooses to hold ourselves in love, it makes it easier for another one, and then there's a ripple effect from there. So don't underestimate the importance of this inner work that you're doing, because it is literally changing the world. And I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next video. Bye.